Here's the script. How to take your Next.js app to the edge with serverless functions. In the world of web development, the concept of edge computing has been gaining traction. It allows developers to run serverless functions closer to users, reducing latency and improving performance. Vercel's edge functions is a game changer in this space, and when integrated with Next.js 15, it takes your application to the Next.js. In this script, we'll explore how to leverage Vercel's edge functions to supercharge your Next.js app. First, let's understand what edge functions are. Edge functions are serverless functions that run at the edge of the network, closer to users. This means that instead of running functions on a centralized server, you can run them on a network of servers distributed across the globe. This approach reduces latency, improves performance, and enhances the overall user experience. Vercel's edge functions takes this concept to the next level by providing a seamless way to deploy and manage edge functions. With Vercel, you can write your functions in JavaScript, TypeScript, or even Rust, and deploy them to the edge with a single command. Now let's talk about Next.js 15. Next.js is a popular React-based framework for building server-rendered and statically generated websites and applications. With Next.js 15, you've got a powerful set of features, including server-side rendering, static site generation, and incremental static regeneration. So how do you integrate Vercel's edge functions with Next.js 15? The process is straightforward. First, you need to create a new Next.js project using the npx create next app command. Once you have your project set up, you need to install the Vercel Edge Functions SDK using npm or yarn. Next, you need to create a new edge function using the Vercel Edge command. This will create a new file in your project directory with a JS extension. In this file, you can write your edge function code using JavaScript or TypeScript. Here's an example of a simple edge function that returns a hello world message. JavaScript export default async function handler request return new response hello world. Status 200 headers content type text plain time c time. To deploy this function to the edge, you can use the Vercel deploy command. Vercel will take care of the rest, deploying your function to the edge and making it available to users. One of the most significant benefits of using Vercel's edge functions with Next.js 15 is the ability to handle server-side rendering at the edge. With traditional server-side rendering, your server needs to handle requests, render the page, and return the response. With edge functions, you can offload this processing to the edge, reducing the load on your server and improving performance. For example, let's say you have a Next.js page that requires server-side rendering. You can create an edge function that handles the rendering at the edge using the getServerSideProps method. JavaScript export default async function handler request constprops equals await get server side props request return new response render page props status 200 headers content type text task teachml 97 timestate hj/h/method. In this example, the getServerSideProps method is called at the edge, and the resulting props are used to render the page. The rendered page is then returned to the user as a response. Another use case for Vercel's edge functions with Next.js 15 is handling API routes at the edge. With traditional API routes, your server needs to handle requests, process the data, and return the response. With edge functions, you can offload this processing to the edge, reducing the load on your server and improving performance. For example, let's say you have an API route that handles user authentication. You can create an edge function that handles the authentication at the edge using the API method, JavaScript export default async function handler request, const user equals await authenticate user request, return new response JSON to stratify user million status 200 headers tap content type application JSON 51060000620 JSA. As resulting, the authenticate user method is called at the edge. and the resulting user data is returned to the user as a response. In conclusion, Vercel's edge function